Let's talk about the victim mindset. I realized that in the past I had this certain mindset where if things went wrong, I used to look for someone to blame or something to blame, like a shadow, some sort of entity that I could just assign the blame to, some sort of factor, some sort of variable, or or something. I was constantly proclaiming to be the victim of life. The entire world was against me, and me landing in a ditch or things going wrong were truly not my fault. And it's looking back at this mindset that I realize how weak it made me back then. It kind of put me in a zone where I was helpless because if it's truly not your fault, then what can you do to change your situation? Not much, right? If it's truly, truly not your fault, if you are not to be blamed, that means you have no leverage over the problem. You have no control over the problem. And if you have no control over the problem, what's stopping it from repeating itself? What's stopping the future you from landing in the same ditch again and again and again and again? And this is what is so scary about the victim mindset. If nothing is truly your fault, then how are you going to stop the problem from reoccurring? And the answer is you can't. You don't. You become this nincompoop who's just floating through life and not changing things about himself because he or she has this belief that it wasn't his problem, it wasn't his fault to begin with. You are at the moment riding in the passenger seat. You are not driving your car. Your car is being driven by someone else or something else, anything that you assign the blame to, and you are merely a passenger in that vehicle. And as soon as your car lands in a ditch, you assign the blame to the thing that is driving your car. Turns out that's not you. And if it's not you driving the vehicle, how are you supposed to get out of that ditch? This is where absolute accountability comes into play. And this is why absolute accountability is so empowering. When you have this mindset that everything in your life, the good and the bad, is somehow your fault, or it's somehow your responsibility, or somehow you are accountable for wherever you are in life, this is rather freeing. It gets you the steering wheel. The steering wheel is now in your hands. It puts you in the driver's position. You're no longer a passenger. You're no longer a passive observer. You are the one driving the vehicle now. So every ditch that you have ended up in, you got yourself there. But the good news is, with absolute accountability, it lets you know that you are the one who can get out of this ditch because the steering wheel, is in your hands. It's almost like, the world is a lot more navigatable than I initially thought it was. If I have damaged myself, if I have hurt myself, if I had made poor decisions in life that have costed me things and that have put me in this circumstance, no matter how bad it is, I still know that at the end of the day, I have enough control to get out of it. I am no longer a victim of the variables of life or things that I cannot control. I am the man in charge. Therefore, I have the power, I have the control to change the situation that I am in. Having this mindset is so freeing, it's so empowering. Like earlier, whenever I used to hit a crisis, I used to instantly go in the self-pity mode, start to feel sorry for myself, start blaming XYZ. He was an asshole, he caused me to feel this way, or he did that, or someone else did this, or just why am I so unlucky? Why can't life just give me a break? And I used to go in this cocoon of self-pity, and it was so comforting. But the truth being told, it offered cheap sedation and nothing else. It never allowed me to overcome that situation or avoid that situation in the future. It's just so convenient to blame other things and not take accountability. But it also makes you so weak. It makes you so weak as a man. However, with this switch of knowing that everything in life is directly caused by me, even if it is not, and I would argue that even if things are truly outside your control, you still need to adopt this mindset of absolute accountability. I know this seems counterintuitive, and I don't mean it in a self-deprecating way. I don't mean it that you start calling yourself a loser and you start turning your identity into that of a loser, that I'm a failure, I have caused all of these things to happen. No, not in that sense. I mean it in a sense that you should know that no matter what sort of a situation you are in as a man, this situation arises because you made some poor decisions, or you didn't know a few things, you were naive, you were ignorant. There were some things that you could have done better that could have allowed you to avoid such a situation. Once you know these things, and once you make up for the lack of information, and once you correct your decisions, you will get out of that situation, and you will also avoid that situation in the future. This is what is so powerful about this belief. This belief that I am accountable. I am totally responsible for everything in life. If it rains outside, it is my fault as a man. I know this is a bit of an exaggeration, but this mindset is just so empowering. If it rains outside, it is my fault. It turns you into Superman. All of a sudden, you're no longer this boy floating through life or being a victim of life. You're a man who controls his own destiny. You're a man who controls his own fate. You're a man who refuses to stay in the ditch and wait for someone to rescue him. You're a man who starts climbing the ditch. You're a man who starts climbing that trench, and you rise up being a much stronger version of yourself. And you should truly think about the alternative of this. Let's say we started telling people that, hey, it's not your fault, you're just, life has happened to you, you're unlucky, or yeah, it was person XYZ's fault. This is why you're in this horrible position. What you're subconsciously telling that person is that now his life, the trajectory of his life, now depends on factors that are external to him, on factors that are out of his control, that he has no ability to adjust the trajectory of his life. And this is such a bad mindset to have. You're honestly a sitting duck at this moment. You have no control, you have no power, and therefore you're a victim of life. So this perspective of owning everything, owning the good and the bad and the ugly, without making myself feel like a loser, without deprecating my identity as a man, I think this is a very, very healthy and a productive tool to have in your toolkit. If I'm responsible for everything in my life, that means I have control over everything in my life. That means that even if I messed up in the past, I can avoid messing up in the future because the factors are well within my grasp. They are under my control as a man. And once everything is truly in your control, once everything is truly tangible, when everything can truly be adjusted by you as a man, then there's a sense of calm that takes over you. That, okay, I can change. I got this. Whereas the victim mentality does make you feel hopeless. Like, I don't have what it takes to control my own life. I am relying upon external things. And I would actually argue, even if things are not in your control, like you are truly in a situation where your life is a mess and there is nothing that you can do about it, I would still believe that having such a mindset that there are some things that you can still do at that given moment to improve the quality of your life and to up the trajectory of your life, I think that is still a healthier mindset to have than to just give up hope and just accept your fate. It might even be a bit of a delusional take, but I wholeheartedly believe in it.